Good afternoon and welcome to Evofound. Today we're going to be talking about the phase relationship between the side of cartridge cases and the face of cartridge cases, and when we can get those matched up to be in phase when we're using the software. Now, one of the things we're going to do is when we scan a cartridge case, we're going to scan the face of the cartridge, and then we're going to set it up separately so we can scan the side surfaces if we include the image itself. When we do this, the software is going to bring those two images into view, but we have to set up the phase relationship ourselves because the machine doesn't know how they were oriented with respect to each other. Now, what we're going to see when we finish loading a sample is going to be this window, which shows us the face of the cartridge case on the bottom, and then the side on the top with an overview of the entire sample. On this overview, you'll see this green rectangle, which shows you the part that's in view on the large view sample of the sample here. Now, if I grab one side and move it, you're going to see that both move together. Now, if I have a unique characteristic, like this impingement mark on the side of the cartridge case, I could potentially find how it relates to the face of the cartridge case, and I can put them in phase upon that orientation. However, if I don't have outstanding details, one of the things that I may want to do before I scan my cartridge case is actually to take a Sharpie and place a mark on it so that we can actually see it on the sample. Now, one of the funny things is I did put a phase mark on here, but you'll see as we go around, you can't see that phase mark that I put on the sample already. And that's because we're looking at the 3D image, which is not a colored or black and white image. It's a 3D model, which does not carry any of that information. We actually have to go over to the 2D image to be able to see that. So when we do this, we switch over to 2D, and we're going to go to the grayscale image, and now as we rotate that around, we should come across my index mark. There it is. Believe it or not, there's actually two of them there, and I did this on purpose. We have a black index mark that in this case relates to part of the bunting on the cartridge case face. Now, when I created the marks on here, I went in and I set a black mark with respect to the 4 on the cartridge case face, and then a red mark with position with respect to the 5 on this 45 caliber cartridge case. The reason I did both of those colors is that I could show you, because we use red LEDs for imaging, that red mark does not show up on the sample. The black mark, however, does. So when we use a label, we want to make sure that we're going to be using the color that is going to be visible by the software, which is pretty much anything but red. So now that we've identified we do have a mark that is visible in this 2D mode, now we can determine how do we get the relationship between these two. Well, I can rotate one sample around, and then you'll see that the face moves with the side, or the side moves with the face, depending on which one I grab. The software also will let you know with a message that if you hold down the shift button and grab the side, you can move that independent of the face. If I bring it up a little bit higher, you'll see that there's part of a crosshair at the base of the cartridge case side and on the perimeter of the cartridge case face. And that's where I want to get my phase alignment between the two samples. So in this case, this black mark is oriented by the 4 on the cartridge case face. So I'm going to put that 4 up at the top. And now I'm going to grab my shift key and I'm going to rotate the side here until I can get that black mark oriented properly with respect to the 4. Now I have those two in phase so that as I move them, they're going to move together and maintain that phase relationship. One thing to note about this is the only time I can set that phase relationship is when I'm loading a sample initially into the software. So now I'm going to add the sample into the database, and once it's in the database, it's going to lock that relationship together so that it stays in phase for future usage. So that was my quick introduction to setting the phase relationship with the Evofinder software. If you have any questions, please type them into the question window and we can answer those for you and follow up with you. Otherwise, we'll be back in 2 weeks where we're going to talk about the different modes of viewing, the 2D, 2D plus D, and 3D, which I sort of used a little bit but didn't talk about, and show those functionalities with some of the lighting controls. So please join me on March 4th for that next episode, and we will see you soon. Thank you and have a good day.